Nemo, a well-known art thief, tells the tale of his upbringing. Nemo gave his cat an AC/DC album, and his sketchbook as the 3 items he would save from a fire. When asked by his instructor, he lost the record when he borrowed it to a friend who never returned it, and the cat eventually passed away, but he still has the sketchbook because art is for keeps. Nemo is dropped off on the roof of a very opulent penthouse in the city of New York by a helicopter, and he enters the residence by slicing through the security netting. Then he awaits the codes from his accomplice to turn off the security system. Nemo now has 7 minutes to steal the pricey artwork that decorates the flat, but his main objective is to locate a well-known self-portrait that is worth millions of dollars. Nemo decides to give up and leave with the available paintings, after examining every room in the house in vain for the self-portrait. Unfortunately, his accomplice enters the wrong code, activating the security system, which causes all exits to be automatically locked, and sets off an alarm. Nemo tries desperately to smash the window with a piece of random decor, but the glass is impenetrable, and pushing the door also fails. Nemo takes the screen from the wall and attempts to destroy it, before the alarm sends him mad, but it merely causes the air conditioner started acting up. The alert is then ultimately silenced, after Nemo pushes some furniture about, climbs on it, and tears out every camera and sensor on the walls. Nemo's pursuing the idea is to plow a hole in the entrance door with a blade, so that you can escape. He starts to feel really hot while working, as a result of the damaged AC. When Nemo enters the kitchen, neither the faucet nor the burners are functional. The fridge has an AI that tells him what goods are missing, and plays Macarena if the door is left open for too long, so he checks it after that. Nemo returns to working on the door after having a drink, sweating profusely since the AC is making the space hotter by the second. Nemo is shocked to learn that the door has a metal plank underneath all the wood. After much banging through the walkie-talkie, he tries to get in touch with his partner once more, but this time there is no response. He has been totally abandoned. Nemo attempts to settle in, knowing the owner is on vacation and won't be back for a while. The television is connected to the malfunctioning system, so when he attempts to watch it, after getting some vodka and food from the fridge, it doesn't work correctly. Nemo locates the security cameras via channel surfing, but because it's late, the receptionist is the only person present at night. Nemo then falls asleep on the main bed. The following morning, Nemo hears a helicopter and dashes back to the living room, but even when he gets close to the window, no one can see him. He decides to cool himself in the small pool that is shown in the living room, because the heat is getting worse. Nemo tries calling his accomplice again, but she doesn't respond, and the apartment's phone is out of service, so he starts searching in drawers for alternative possibilities. He realizes he must put up with the scent, after using the loo, because the water isn't running there either. He tries tossing decorations out of other windows, but those are also impervious to being broken. When Nemo finally looks up, and realizes there is a skylight on the ceiling, he takes a moment to reflect. Nemo immediately starts working on moving items underneath the skylight to begin assembling a scaffold, only pausing to shed layers of clothing and freshen off at the pool due to the increasing heat. He tries to drink from the pool, but the taste is intolerably foul. Nemo discovers a tiny garden with sprinkles. While taking a breather, he opens the holes, but nothing emerges. He also examines the fish tank water, but it tastes too bad to swallow. Nemo, who is in need of a drink, removes the ice trays from the refrigerator, and consumes all of the ice until none is left. He then returns to his task, constructing the structure using scraps of cloth from the furniture. The structure slowly expands, but when he tries it out, he can still not reach the skylight, meaning he still has work to do. Nemo frequently stops to let his body rest, and at those times, he draws in a notepad and scans the security footage. On the stairs one afternoon, he spots Jasmine, a cleaning lady, and thinks she's adorable. Nemo eventually runs out of food in the fridge and switches to cans, but he finds that the house doesn't have a can opener, and must open the cans with a knife. When he wounds himself accidentally, he has to wash the wound with pool water, and bind it with a piece of his shirt. When the heat gets too severe, Nemo will occasionally stick his head inside the refrigerator, to lick at the leftover ice and breathe colder air, while still having to listen to Macarena. Later, he is able to unlock a closed door with the help of some furniture, and finds that it leads to a pantry, which gives him access to several other food options, including beef. He hurries to the garden, as soon as he hears a disturbance, and is relieved to see that the sprinklers are operating according to a timetable. He downs as much water as he can before lying down in the mud to let the water rejuvenate his worn-out body. Nemo is forced to employ his final resorts, including the bed and curtains, while the work on the scaffold continues. This time, when he does reach the skylight, he finds that it is a part of the ceiling, therefore he will need to devise a solution. He starts drawing the people he observes on the surveillance cameras that night, with Jasmine being his favorite. Nemo notices that Jasmine needs to clean the hallway outside of his apartment that evening, so he runs to the door to request assistance. Unfortunately, Jasmine can't hear him, because she has headphones in and is listening to music. Nemo finds the AC is suddenly acting in an opposite manner, and the apartment is getting cold when Jasmine departs. Days go by while life goes on inside the structure. Nemo sets down a number of pots in the garden, so that if the sprinklers are switched on, they will fill with water, and he starts sleeping on a mound of bed linens, because he damaged the mattress. Nemo is keeping himself occupied with these little tasks, but he is also becoming increasingly insane. He starts dancing to the Macarena melody one day, while still leaving the fridge open. He then takes the last bottle of spirits and the final jar of caviar, and enjoys them in the pool, while still singing the song, nearly feeling like a king. The following day, Nemo smashes a vase and fashions safety goggles out of the broken parts and some fabric. Then, in the hopes of finding a way out, he starts chipping the skylight's frame. Foods are getting tough when it comes to food. Without water, the dishes are building up, and some foods can't be cooked without the burners. Nemo soaks the hard spaghetti in water for a full day to soften it, which isn't really tasty but at least makes it edible. Nemo occasionally converses with himself while preparing food. This includes regularly watching the security cameras, and Nemo ultimately picks up the identities and daily routines of every employee in the building. He then engages them in conversation anytime he sees them on the screen. In order to feel less alone, he also utilizes a telescope that he found to spy on the neighbors. Nemo finds heavy bolts under the cement, after spending a lot of time working on the skylight, which adds another issue for later. Nemo wakes up one morning to find sunlight leaving a mark on the wall, and reflecting off a piece of the vase. He chooses to designate that location. Since he thinks it is so beautiful, he eventually completes removing the cement frame from the skylight, but the bolts continue to be a challenge. As he begins to spiral out of control, Nemo sees a pigeon outside on the balcony, and commands it to look for his friends, so he can ask for assistance, but the pigeon obviously ignores him. Nemo eventually decides to grab a marker and scribble on a photograph of the owner and his daughter out of frustration. Later, while he searches the wardrobe for warmer clothing, he finds a secret entrance hidden behind a false wall. He enters the extremely small space and discovers a hidden room, only to panic and flee when he discovers a body. He returns after calming down, and understands it is only a doll portraying the artist, because this is also where the pricey self-portrait is concealed. A vintage compilation of William Blake's The Marriage of Heaven and Hell is perched on the doll, and Nemo removes both of them with the painting. Nemo witnesses Jasmine smoking outside of his door one evening, and this time, she is not wearing headphones. Jasmine uses the hoover to clear the smoke away, so she doesn't hear Nemo as he races to the door to bang on it, while yelling for assistance. Additionally, the door is very thick. Nemo can't even slip a note through it. Later on in the evening, Nemo has a pretty bizarre dream. He imagines himself as a very affluent visitor at an art exhibit, and the owner of the flat extends a cordial welcome. When Nemo sees Jasmine nearby, he freezes, and when the owner whispers something in her ear, things become awkward. When the proprietor starts talking about puppets and art, Nemo decides to leave, because he feels uncomfortable. The following day, Nemo makes a fake wrench out of chair wood to cope with the bolts. Nemo keeps attempting despite the wood breaking, and by carving one wrench at a time, he gradually succeeds in turning the bolts. When food becomes an issue, Nemo chooses to eat the dog food and the fish in the tank. Despite the fact that they both taste awful, he makes himself swallow them both. The bathroom situation isn't any better. The toilet is so backed up that he begins using the tub as a toilet. Nemo also starts to make art on the wall, where they had marked the location, turning it into a small altar that is both beautiful and unsettling to honor his predicament. He places each bolt he is able to free on the altar, as a tribute to his escape dream. However, the madness continues, and Nemo starts conversing in full sentences with his imaginary friends more frequently. Nemo becomes fixated on the idea that he was caught on tape. When Jasmine glances at a security camera one afternoon, Nemo is motivated by this to consume the final piece of meat in the refrigerator. He then dons a bizarre outfit made from a carpet, sits in front of the altar, and makes strange noises as if he were praying to remember the occasion. Nemo slips and falls off the scaffold as he is about to remove the last bolt, fracturing a leg in the process. To treat it, he fashions a splint, but the discomfort exacerbates his madness, and he now experiences hallucinations of Jasmine entering the room, and fireworks above the city. However, not even his hallucinations are pleasant to him. Jasmine approaches quickly and teases him, by almost touching him, but she vanishes before doing so. The following time Nemo looks in the mirror, he notices that he has tooth decay and tries to fix it with a nail. He stumbles and falls, but it appears that the artist has assaulted him because of his hallucinations. Nemo finally discovers the solution to his dilemma. As he emerges from his fall, while staring at the ceiling, there is a smoke detector that is still operational in the space. He builds a torch out of a chair leg and some book pages, then lights a fire in a bowl and places it close to the smoke detector. This time, there is no alert, but sprinklers begin to pelt the house with water. Nemo rushes to the door in case somebody is approaching, But because of how intense the sprinkles are, nobody is warned of the emergency. Nemo scrambles to grab a few paintings and hide them beneath the stairs, to protect them till the sprinklers eventually stop. As the rooms start to fill with water, the owner's daughter and dog appear to be standing on the balcony beneath the snow, as Nemo reads the marriage of heaven and hell the following day under the scaffold. Then, as if driven mad, he begins to repeat "I'm going to heaven" on a hillside, before scrawling a message on the wall that repeats "Art is for keeps," and apologizes for all the havoc he caused. While making it clear that it was necessary, Nemo throws away a few notebook pages, emphasizing that creativity cannot exist without destruction. Before reclimbing the scaffold while continuing to sing, "I'm going to heaven" on a hillside, he then abruptly vanishes from view, the room goes silent, and the skylight is revealed to be open, leaving it unclear if he managed to flee or fell and perished. The end. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel and like it, to motivate me to bring you more stories like this.